Welcome back to the vlog, guys. Now today is exciting because we are starting the Amazon themed tank. Now currently behind where the camera is, I'll show some B-roll, is a big space of where I want to be building the brand new Amazon style themed fish tank. It's going to be a 4-foot aquarium. I've been collecting materials, plants, trees, logs, everything for a long time now. I cannot wait to get started, so let's go. And this is the tank. Voila! Oh, so sexy. Nothing better than seeing like thick opti-white glass like that. Oh, but let's get started on that stand. Oh, I'm out of breath. Right, so there it is. Okay, so what you saw me making was basically we've got 3 frames that are like that. Yeah, it's really simple. Just a straight piece on the top and bottom, and then 2 joining it, and then like just 1 piece of wood there as like a brace for it all, stops it going that way and that way, and then a load of thick sort of struts or planks that go all the way across the top, cover the whole area. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Same on each end, no one in the middle, it doesn't matter, it's just there to stop it sort of bowing. A couple for pinning the bottom, a flat one for the bottom, and a flat one for the back. Job done. On top of it will go this, which is like just some sort of foamy underlay for, I guess it's like wooden flooring or something, but it works really, really well. I've actually done this before, actually not even as well as this, on one of my other tanks. Follow me. So for those of you who don't know, this is my Asian fish aquarium, so you can see, look, 1, 2, 3, and then just on the top of that, all painted black, is a load of boards that just went that way, or planks that went that way. Works a treat, and doesn't go anywhere, completely solid. Alright, it's not the greatest of craftsmanship, but I don't claim to be an expert carpenter, but it does the job really well, and that's what I'm all about, getting the job done and cracking on with what you want to do. No idea what that meant. Okay, there we have it, 1 stand, and that is pretty sturdy. See? Obviously I don't weigh as much as an aquarium. So I'm going to do a quick test run with this stuff. It's like varnish. We've gone for the medium oak matte finish. I'm going to do it on the top and see what it looks like. If I like it, I'll do the whole lot. If not, it doesn't matter, it's going to be covered anyway, and I can just black out the rest. Click subscribe. Right guys, so it's now actually the next day, so you can see here, look, that is 1 coat, that is 2 coats, 3 coats, 4 coats of the varnish, or the whatever it's called. Who cares? But I don't like it. I don't like that colour at all. It looks more sort of a yellowy, greeny colour. I'm going to go for a much more darker look, so something more like the trim of that, but probably darker still, more brown, you know, like a real earthy brown. That's what I want to get. So I'm going to go to the shop and get it, but it's currently 5 AM and no shops are open, so I'm gonna have to do so. Maybe I'll edit this video. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so this is the one I got last time, so it's medium, and then there's a dark one there. I won't waste that one. I'll make sure I use it for another project or something. But is even the dark enough? Aha, this one says on softwood. It is softwood, so that's the one we want. Oh yes, instantly look, that's so much darker. That's gonna look awesome. That's what I was going for. I don't know why I picked this color, but that's gonna be perfect. Let's just slap it on. Oh yes, 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 definitely the right decision. I think that looks great, doesn't it? Look at the top. green in comparison. But the next job we need to do now is take the flooring underlay and just size it up on top, maybe stick it down with a little bit of silicone and paint it black before we do that. Well, the edge is black. We don't have to paint the whole lot because the tank will be on top of it, but you will just see the front lip of it. So just overhang it slightly, paint it black, and then I can set it in place ready to put the tank on top. So that is the edges painted. Now I could have just bought some black foam, but they didn't have it in the shop and I'm not waiting, so I just had some black paint and it just done a good job. Anyway, we need to silicone it down before we put the tank on top. Like a glove. Right, there we go, looking good. So a couple of extra things I've done for safety reasons. I mean, it was probably all right, but you know, when you're on the second floor with a load of fish tanks, probably isn't good enough. I've added this white foam, you can see. It's like an extra thick layer on top of the one I already had. Now, the reason for that is this is cheap wood and it isn't actually perfectly plain. So I was finding that a couple of the bits at the sides there and there were just slightly twisted, you know, on their cuts. So this amount of foam will just completely take that out and it won't even matter. And then also in the middle section, you can see there, I added another cross brace just to stiffen it up even more. Again, both of these things probably weren't needed, but I just wanted to make sure before going any further because, you know, it'll always be playing on my mind otherwise. And now it's time for the black background. Loads of you have obviously seen me do this before, but there'll be lots of you watching this that haven't, so this is how you do it. So next we want to spray the whole back down with soapy water, and look at this absolutely exquisite use of paper towel. Got to protect the areas. It will try and drip down because obviously I'm upright. The best way to do this is actually tilt on its side, but I haven't got anyone to help me, so you can do it upright. It's not an issue. It's just a little bit more fiddly, but we should be okay. And then we want to place our film up against it, but with the peelable offside facing you. I'll show you what I mean. So that is the background on. Now you can see all those bubbles and everything. That's why we need this squeegee, which actually just, so you can just go from the center outwards and then you don't create any creases, look, and it just works it all on and it just sticks after that. So yeah, you can see that center spot there where it's smooth, and push all the air out, down, left, right, up, down, all from the center, and you'll find that on the front, look, you can, well, the reflections are pretty bad, but there you go, there's that middle section I just done. Goes perfectly black. And then if there's any excess that's hanging over, you can trim it off. But like I did in this video, I have before just trimmed it all off around the edge. I find it way easier now just to measure out the backing and cut it to size, and it just fits on neatly. There's no mess then, and it's just straight on. Right, that is looking super tidy. Now what about lighting? Well, if you guys remember, I used to have the Angelfish Aquarium back in my old studio, and I had some custom built, well, I built them, so they are custom lights. They're LED floodlights that come off like a sort of right angle overhang. So you can see here I'm measuring out two pieces of wood, one of 70 centimeters length and one of 30 centimeters. These will act as the main frame for our lighting bracket. Make sure you cut all your wood nice and square and sand off all the edges to get a real neat finish. We can then use the right angle triangle piece of wood we've cut off to lock the two pieces of wood into the correct position. Then all we need to do is slap some black paint on it, and we're pretty much good to go. So as mentioned, I'm going to reuse these floodlights that I've used before. They're 20 watt, 6500 Kelvin colour temperature. When I originally wired them, I just used some spare stuff that I had. It was grey wires. It just doesn't look good, does it? So now I'm going to attach this black wires to it. I can then attach them to the frames we've created and pin back the wire so it runs all neatly alongside it. This should give us a really neat finish, and to be honest, it's so black, all of this, that it's just going to blend into the background anyway, and hopefully you won't even notice them. I then bent the frames of the floodlights. This means that they'll sit square on the custom brackets that we made. I'm saying custom because it sounds a lot better than bits of wood. I then attached the lights to the custom brackets and then proceeded to tape the wires to the frames. I was going to use wire tacks, but you know, the ones I've got are too small and I can't go out and get any more. So as I always say, make do with the stuff you've got and get on with the job. Well, here they are. So they are a little bit too short though, because I did have them pinned back against the wall, but I don't want to do that in here, because what I can do, come around the back, is pin them to this area, but currently they actually stop right there, you know, where the end of the tank bit is. So I need to extend them a little bit, and to do that I just got a couple of planks there, bits of 2x4. I can just attach them to the side bits to there, which will give me the extra length, and then they'll come up to about 30 centimeters above the tank. I've often found that lighting at about 30 centimeters, like you can see this one here, works really well, and it seems to be the right level. Obviously it depends on the strength of your light. For instance, that one there above the beta sorority, that's about 50 centimeters above. It just depends on the light, and you kind of learn from experience there what is going to be the right height or what the right intensity is. If you can dim lights, ideal, you can put it to whatever height you like, but I mean, these are just LED floodlights you'd put in your sort of garage or maybe on the driveway. So the colour's really good though, and so is the strength, so they're going to be really good. I mean, you've seen how well the plants grow before in the angelfish aquarium. I'll leave a link to that. They do the job amazing for growing plants. Oh yes, look at that. I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. A lot more professional than I've done before. It's probably the best tank I've ever made, best setup I think. Okay, the lights can look a little bit sort of, you know, well, I don't even know the word, but they will do a really good job, and they don't look too bad. You know, if I was to do them again, I probably would redo this section. Oh, sorry. Do that section, because I crushed it like that to make a flat point so that they didn't hang down lower. Back in my old studio, that was how I just had to do it like that at the time. I could redo it all again and buy new lights, but they're going to work well, and most of the time, look, we're going to be looking here. We're not going to be looking up there, are we? So let's not worry too much about that. Well, oh yeah, beautiful. Right, I've got a cool little sort of faux wood like to go on the background. I think that'll look really good as well. It's like stick on, and let me just put it up. We'll see how it looks. I might not do it, I might do. Just have a look. You've got to try things, haven't you, to see if you like them or not. What do we think? I like it. Oh yes, I really like that. I mean, it's not going to be to everyone's taste, is it? But whatever is. Like before when I did my rock work in the other room. Hang on. Yeah, all the lights are off because it's early, but I remember when I did this, some people were like, that's horrible. Other people really liked it. I'll leave a link to both of these transfer things. They're both just sticky thingies that go on the wall. But this one's cool, actually. It's got really good 3D effect when you get up close. And it is 3D because it's like grooves in it. Anyway, it's not about that. Yeah, so I think we've got just basically a really good slate now for starting. I just think the whole thing ties in nicely. The wood on the top with the wood on the bottom. Different colours, but I quite like that. You know, it sort of separates it into visual treats. I don't know what I'm saying. I tell you what though, that white polystyrene is not doing it any justice. Let me just get a little dusting of sand down there. The colour I'm going to be used, it won't hurt. I can go on top of it later, but it'll look so much better for now and the thumbnail. Ah, yeah, there we go. I think that looks really good. The colours, they all tie in. It's matching. Oh, how nice. This is just ordinary pool filter sand. I'll leave a link for it. And you're probably wondering, you just got a ton of stuff from Aquarium Gardens down here. Why aren't you using that? Well, a lot of this stuff is just smaller bags, and they'll be perfect for things like 60 centimeters or 2-foot tanks and all the nano tanks. So I'm going to be using those for that. But for obviously a big tank like this, I'm going to need quite a lot of sand. So I've got 25 kilograms of pool filter sand, so that's all ready to go. But obviously it's just a fine dusting there, but it'll be way more than that because there's going to be some big plants in here, you know. They're going to have big roots, they're going to need to feed a lot, so going to need some good depth. Plus, to be honest, I really like the colour, and it does suit what I've seen of the Amazon when I've been doing my research. Some of the river basins there have got this very sort of white but yellow, you know. It's not quite white, it's not quite yellow, it's somewhere in between, and I think this stuff matches it really well, and the grain sizes, and then the little flecks of different other colours in there as well. I don't know, just really natural looking. So that's all looking great, but as I've said before, it's quite nice to add some greenery around the aquarium as well, so it's not just the aquarium, it's the whole sort of scene, if you like. And to do that, I've got this Monstera plant, is it? Yeah, Monstera. Absolutely awesome. Look at it, look at the size of that leaf. I can see why it's called a Monstera, or Monstera. Am I saying that right? I don't even know. Anyway, so I want it to come in this area here, but I don't want to like have some big ugly thing just taking up loads of space in that area. So what I'm going to do is build a little sort of bracket out the same materials as this that comes out and up at a right angle for it to sit on, and then we can have it nice and high, and it'll just look really good from this angle. Let me show you what I mean. I've done it on another tank. Yeah, so this is Timmy the Turtle's tank. Timmy, you there? Your food's here. You haven't eaten it. Eat your food. Where is he? Anyway, yeah, look, here, you can see. So that is what I built there. This one's going to come up like the same, but higher and a little bit smaller, so it's more compact. It works really well and holds the plant there nicely. So basically, I've got a pot over here. I'm just in the process of painting it black. It needs a second layer on it because that green wasn't really doing anything for me. And then over here on the desk, look, I've got the pieces of wood that I need. So one's coming out like that, one on top, and then a flat piece on top of that. Right, I think I've got just a sliver of the stain left to go on that little bit of wood, so absolutely perfect, one tin. Right, there we go then. That looks fantastic. I've got more plans for like immersed planting as well, but I think I want to have it coming off the wood structure that's going to go in the tank. Now, about the wood structure, let's get onto that section and start moving stuff in. So there is our three main pieces of wood. I've got some smaller stuff as well, but that's the, you know, the bulky bits. Obviously, I don't want to put them in like that. Now, these pieces of wood are from Aquarium Gardens. Awesome, awesome pieces. They're bogwood, essentially. That's all they are, but big pieces of bogwood. And they're dense as well. I don't think there's any danger of these floating, so we don't have to worry about that either. They're just going to be absolutely, well, I hope so. That's going to be awful, isn't it, if I put them in there? Let's not even talk about it, not even think about it. I'm just going to start putting them in and getting some shapes going and some angles. I don't even know yet. Click subscribe. I mean, sometimes in life you've just got to go big, so that's what I've done there. I kind of accidentally did it. I kind of put that one resting there just for a minute, and then I thought, whoa. Now flow might be an issue because we're blocking off the back area, but not completely. There's loads of gaps and ways through. We've got a big old filter going on this. We've got the Oase 850, which is their new sort of flagship one. It's the thermo, so it's built in heaters and everything, which is awesome, but I'm also going to put a power head in as well. At the end of the day, it's a river I'm trying to create. Rivers fast flow. Flow fast. So obviously really loving the other way, but we've got to try other ways as well in case, you know, we find something better. That's quite cool. This is more of an island composition. The last one was more of a triangular composition, so island is convex. I don't know. It's an island, whatever. It kind of looks like a stag's head coming out of the background, like boom, boom. We don't need the sound effects, MD. And we don't need to refer to ourselves in the third person either. But yeah, that's cool. We can go back to the other one, or we can go back to this one, whatever. I've got one more idea I want to try, and that's going to be this main piece sort of coming out like a tree stump, and the bigger pieces can be sort of roots, if you like. I'm not sure how well that's going to work given the size of these mammoth pieces, but I can sort of see that one laying all the way across, this one coming partially out, and then that on top, and then the little one somewhere. Anyway, I'll give it a go and see how that looks. Okay guys, I think we've got a problem. I really like this. Okay, what I need to decide is, do I want an aquascape with traditional lines and that sort of thing, you know, composition, or do I want a fish tank? Now, I think I want a fish tank. I want to make an Amazon style fish tank that's, you know, similar to their natural environment. And not completely, obviously, because like I always say, it's a glass box in the studio at the end of the day. But I love the way that the wood's fallen in like it would look in the Amazon. And that's cool because it means that we've got so much more space for swimming, flow, and planting. So you've got to think long term. I really like that. Look, let me come around this way, and you can see that it's all sort of 3D, and there's tons of swimming space as well around it. The flow's going to be great. Obviously it won't be flat, I'll be banking it up. There'll be stones placed here, there and everywhere, and then a just absolute ton of plants as well. I want to plant a tank at the end of the day, and if I have a load of this stuff inside, oh yeah, I left that other big piece out because it would have just destroyed that simplicity, or simple, I can't talk, simple look that I'm going to go for. I think I'm going to go with that. Why not? Maybe I'm going to bring this one across a little bit more though, just to come there. That's where it actually was. I just raised it up onto that rock for some weird reason. You got to try things. Anyway, yeah, put that one back down. Maybe I'll go out and buy something just to come in that section if I pull that back. Scratch that off camera. I thought, you know what, I'm going to try one more thing. I flipped that around. Yes, look at the lines. But it suits everything we want. It's coming into the aquarium. It's not taking up a ton of space. It looks aquascape because it's following some sort of composition. Maybe those lines are far too parallel. I'll give it a bit more angle like that, I think, in a minute. But yeah, the perfect thing is this wood's actually got a little hook that loops around the back, and just it's solid. It's not going it. That's the tap test. You all know the tap. I'm going to do gentle tap test on this one. Awesome, I love that. But yeah, again, I want to sort out those lines. That's too perfect. You don't really get perfectness like that in nature. Either it needs to come up that way or that way. We'll try both. Wicked. So those lines are sorted. There's sort of like a weirdness to them now. We want weirdness. If it looks regular, it's incorrect. We don't want that. Nature's not regular unless it's very rare, and then it sort of stands out like a sore thumb. But the problem now is this line's dropped. That doesn't look good to me. So I think that needs to do that. So we can just rearrange it to do it, and the line should not in perfect harmony, but like slight angle. Do that and it should be perfect. Well, not perfect, but perfect for me. Yeah, there we go. See what I mean? See how that flows so much more now that it's doing that, rather than straight line, flat line. You know, I think that's perfect. I think we nailed it. absolutely nailed it. And there's plenty of room for attaching, you know, the inlet and outlets for our filters, both sides. We're gonna have tons of flow, a nice power head as well I'm gonna put on this one. Just a cheap one. Again, I want to just use stuff that you guys can get and afford, really. Let's be honest, none of this is going to be cheap, and it's all a luxury item. So if you're trying to do stuff for like under $500, $600, whatever, just stop right there and get something smaller, because you can do it with the smaller tanks. But if you want the bigger tanks, you're gonna have to save up. You know, it's as simple as that. Or sell your car and buy a cheaper one, whatever. There's plenty of ways to get money, but money isn't everything, and that's why I try to sort of keep costs down where possible. So, you know, building your own stands, for instance, sorting out your own lights with some just basic simple LED floodlights. Links in the description, guys. Order them up, get them on your tanks. They look great. They grow plants amazing. So that's everything coming along really well, guys, but I want to add some height to that sort of, you know, the areas that I'm going to be planting in. So to do that, we're going to use some crushed lava rock and some zip bags that they're all made of plastic, so they won't rust or anything. Let me show you. Yeah, so here they are. They're just like, oh, focus, there we go. There you go, you see there's a zip on them, it's all made of plastic, so nothing rusts. I can fill those up with crushed lava rock, and then I can actually put it in the background areas that I actually want to build height in. Actually, stop saying actually. There, look, so I want height there, probably about up to there. A little bit of height in that area, so it'll be like a swoopy, swoop-a-doo, whatever, you know? So yeah, let's get that in. Right, there we go, we got 7 bags prepped there. Now the reason that I'm doing that as well as to create height is because there's a huge area in there that we can have beneficial bacteria colonizing. So beneficial bacteria will colonize on any surface. Not in the water column, but in the surface of the wood, surface of the rocks, the sand, and also crushed lava rock, which is very porous and just got tons of surface area. So by adding that in at the bottom there, we're actually massively increasing the amount of beneficial bacteria in the whole system. I'll have it all in the filters as well. So we've got loads and loads of this. It should do really well. What I found is the more surface area for beneficial bacteria you can enable in the whole aquarium system, the better the whole tank does. This one, for instance, this is my Better Fish sorority aquarium. It's just doing so well. I just trimmed it all up. Look at those red root floaters at the top there. Looking great. But yeah, I've just trimmed it all up because it's growing like crazy. There's not a single spot of algae. Again, the canister filter and all in behind this whole system here, behind this soil, is just packed full of that crushed lava rock, which just creates so much beneficial bacteria. And look, it just looks fantastic, doesn't it? So that is those back areas built up. But on top of those, I just want to pour a sort of a gravel, but a fine gravel. So this is what I would call a more sort of coarse sand, and I want a coarser sand, fine gravel if you like, over the top of that. All of that there, and then we can put this sand on top of that, because I've got a feeling if I go to this sand straight away, it might cause some issues down the line with the thickness of it, causing some cyanobacteria and all that sort of stuff, and just nasties. We don't want that. So I like to go from really coarse in the crushed lava rock to fine sand, fine gravel, coarse sand, and then to the fine sand. Now to do that, I'm going to use these 2 gravels I've got here. So I've got 2 bags. That's too dark, that's too light. I'm going to mix the 2 together, and then we just chuck it on top. So that's all the sand nicely mixed. We've got absolutely loads there to use. Now, before we put that in, I want to put down some root tabs, or just open up the capsules and just sprinkle it around everywhere. You might be thinking, why don't you just put in Aquasoil, MD? Well, the reason I'm not doing that is because this is not an aquascape. It's a fish tank. It's got fast flowing water. And if I put Aquasoil in and then sand over the top, or near, or separated, it's just going to get pulled into it. It's going to be forever finding bits of Aquasoil everywhere. I can't be doing with that. Nobody can be doing with that. Plus, I'm going to have loads of cories, and they're going to move it all, blah, blah, blah. We don't want it. We don't want it. Let's just take that out of the equation from the start. We'll go with just sands, and then put root tabs into the sand. It's just as doable, and it turns out just as good. It just depends how you want to do it. And for this tank, that's going to work out perfect. Okay, so there's very two distinctive sort of hills. I don't know what are they? Raised areas in the corners. So a big one there, medium-sized one there, and then in the middle is just low, and I quite like that. Just to keep it sort of separate, I might keep that as like an open pathway just to add some depth to the tank, because these sides are going to be heavily planted, and there's going to be loads of sort of carpeting plants in the foreground. So that will look absolutely fantastic as well. When I say carpeting, I don't mean like little tufts of hair grass and, you know, Monte Carlo. I don't mean like that. I mean like proper sage, you know, dwarf sage that just sort of goes everywhere and looks great. So that's the sort of look I'm going for, a proper wild jungle look. So that's the sort of rough sand down, the coarse sand. Now on top of that, we can put the fine sand that got the pool filter sand, which is the same as this that we've got in the foreground. That can go on top, and then we can just make it look a little bit less uniform by putting in a bit more and scruffing it all up and that, and get it looking authentic. There we go. Now that is a lot of sand, isn't it? But you know, we need it. It's the bottom of a river, remember? But we need some more detail because it looks way too clean for my liking. There's no way it's going to stay like that anyway. All of the stuff underneath will eventually get turned up and brought out. So we might as well do that from the start, and it can just maintain that awesome look all the time. And you don't have to worry about the little perfect look, you know, sand and that. Not my bag, not my bag. So now we need to just sprinkle some more of the coarse stuff. Again, as usual, keeping the more like the most coarse stuff close to the rocks and the wood, and then it slowly sort of gets looser as you come out. Again, it will do its own thing with the flow, so we don't have to be too worried about it, but it's good to have a good starting point, right? But before we do any planting or put mortar in or anything like that, I need to glue down these bits of wood. Now they're dense, they're hard, they're heavy, but I guarantee they're full of air pockets as well, and they'll just float up. The way around that, we can use cotton wool pads, like makeup pads. I stole them from my wife, don't tell her. But yeah, you can use those with super glue, not the gel type, the liquid type. As soon as it touches the cotton wool, it sort of goes instantly hard, so you can just put it in key points like where that rock's touching that bit of wood, the background area. No, actually, to be honest, that'll be enough. If we just run it all the way up there, because it's hooked at the top, that'll just sort of lock it down underneath there on that point, and then this wood touching that one as well. So let's just do that now. Right, I kid you not, that is now locked down. I can't move that. There's no way it can float up, which is perfect. So just got to do it on the other points there and underneath. But hopefully you saw what I did there. I chucked sand on top of the sort of wet glue, and that'll just A, hide it, and B, let it all set even better. It will glue the sand, it will glue everything. So, and it looks a little bit natural as well, having a little bit of the dusting of the sand on there. Yeah, it's all good. Right, we really are ready for planting now. Now I've got a ton of plants here ready to go in, but there are a few plants that I've got back at one of the tanks at my house. This tank's been set up for like over a year now. It's the longest tank I've ever had set up. It looks like a plant bomb, but that's because I've just left it, because the background plants are the ones I want for this tank, and they are enormous. Let me show you. And here is the tank, guys. So this is my home aquarium. It's in my living room. Happy Christmas. Now, like any builder or cleaner, their homes are either broken or dirty. I'm no different. So my tank at home is just, it's a mess, let's face it, but it's a clean and healthy as you ever could see mess. This tank's been running for over a year. I never do water changes on it. The fish are really healthy. It's currently just blowing around a ton of duckweed because I took a load out. In fact, that whole pot is full of duckweed. I took it all out to just let some light in, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see anything. But you can see in the background there, we have got the Amazon swords. They are looping all the way over to the front here. Now, I deliberately left the tank because I knew I was going to be doing the Amazon tank at one point, and I knew I'd want those plants. They're so mature, healthy, they look amazing, so green, huge as well. They are actually growing at the top of the tank. Let me show you. Oh, that's not gonna, yeah, there we go. So they're growing at the top there. The top parts have gone a little bit crispy with these LED floodlights. Link in the description for these lights, guys, if you're wondering ever if they're gonna be good enough to grow plants. Well, I mean, some would say they're a little too good at growing plants, but I'm gonna be rescaping this. That'll be this weekend's build video. But for now, I just want to get the background Amazon swords out because we need those for our new tank. Oh yeah, and remember, we do still have Sunshine and we have George there. So Sunshine, not looking great. Still holding on in there though. She's the last of a bad batch we had. She's been dewormed. She eats well, but you know, look at the size now of that Siamese algae eater. Just an absolute powerhouse of a fish. Absolutely love these Siamese algae eaters this size, by the way. They're like little mini sharks that just swim around. And many people say that they don't actually do their job when they get that big. Well, if you don't overfeed the tank, they definitely do. Like I say, I see him grazing all the time on all of these plants, and there's not a single bit of algae on all of them. But let's get those swords out. Okay, so now you can see why I wanted to keep these and use them again. Look at the size of the plant. It looks great. I've got to do some trimming and take off some of the bad leaves, but that is so good. And that's just one of them. I think I've got about 7 in there. So there is a ton of pruning and cleaning and everything to do yet, but look at the size of those plants. That is what an Amazon sword can do given time. That tank there is 1 meter long. Well, the base is 1 meter long. There it is up against my foot and my hand. Absolute monster plants. They look so good. They're going to look great. I'm not sure I'm going to use all of them in the new tank because that'll be it. There'll be nothing else to plant, but they're going to look great, aren't they? Let's get them over there. Yes, baby.
Where are you taking those?
Where am I going to take those plants that we just took out? To the new studio. Is that alright? Is that alright, Doodles?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to, you just stood on them. Right, show us a proper high kick. Whoa! You've been watching Power Rangers a lot, haven't you? Right, the plants are here. They're absolutely huge and they're covered in duckweed. These might even be too big for this tank. Which I didn't think would be the case at all. Maybe this one here at the back here and this one are looking like a good size. This one is absolutely huge though. First of all though, I want to wash off that duckweed because I don't want that in this tank. I'm just going to go and dip them in the goldfish tank and then the goldfish can eat the duckweed. So as you can see, the goldfish tank has got quite a lot of plants at the moment. We're going to be using quite a few of these. That's why they're in here. So they've only been in a few days. So in and out. Let's give them a treat with that duckweed. Okay, so I've managed to save these 2 plants. They are looking really good, really healthy. Yes, I do wear slippers around the studio. And this plant here is kind of gone. I had to trim back loads of the dead leaves. And then quite a lot of the top ones are actually burnt as well. So, you know, we'll let that one go. We've got 2 really good ones. They're a good size. I'm going to get those in first. So I think you guys could see there, using tweezers wasn't really going to cut it with that amount of root mass. I added some more gravel in just to make sure we had enough to hold them upright. You know, they're big, heavy plants. They're trying to loop over, so I've rested them on there. They will obviously go upright when the water comes in, but for now we can just rest them like that, stop the stalks snapping or anything. Okay, so we've got one big one over in that corner, and I also want one in this side, or on this side, but just behind this log there's a nice gap, so that'll look quite cool as like a backdrop, and then we can put just tons of other different plants down in this area. That looks cool and is definitely enough. But one thing you guys need, if you're into aquascaping and you're doing like setups regularly, your plants will dry out if you take your time with your build, and you need to get one of these. Now these are key for two reasons. One, you can keep spraying your plants down, but also you can mist all the sort of gravel and sand as you're doing it, and that tends to mean you get less particles float up in the water when you actually fill it up. So yeah, get one of these if you haven't got one. Get it in your garden centre. You can get them for very, very cheap because they're used for like spraying pesticides or stuff like that, but work perfectly for what we need it for, which is just misting down plants. And I just noticed that one of these plants actually had a baby plant. Look, you can see it if it decides to focus. There we go. Look, one of the babies. It would be a shame not to use that, wouldn't it? Let's get that in there with its mother. So now that's enough green, I think. Well, it's not completely enough green, but for the minute, enough. Let's go red, green, red, green. I want to do a pocket in this section just at the base, and for that I'm going to use Kabumba. So this is like the red variety. You can see here, look, the top part is just converting to its submerged form, bottom part is all immersed. Now the difference is obviously that they pull nutrients from soil and CO2 from the air differently when they're out of water, and then they change up, change shape, change sizes even when they're underwater. So that's what's happening there. So what I'll probably do is trim them about halfway and then plant them, because the bottom parts are already sort of, well, they're a bit sorry for themselves. Anyway, that's just normal. They're melting if you like, but the top parts are good. So we'll get those in. We've also got the green variety here, which is awesome. So we can just keep it nice and, you know, like authentic. Now, I didn't actually realize, but in South America, the Ludwigia grows in South America. I didn't know this. I thought it was like an Asian-y sort of thing, but it's not, which is perfect because we've got some next door, and they give us even more red in this corner, but not too much. So yeah, it's going to be good. And it's sort of making this up as I go along, but I know I want a red pocket there and a red pocket there. The rest can do what it likes. But yeah, let's get it in there. So one thing that I noticed when doing research on the South American rivers was that when you do get stem plants, you get big groups of them, so that you don't just get like an odd little one there and there. There tends to be just massive islands of that specific plant. So that's what I'm going to try and do in a sort of like a scaled down version, obviously, in this tank, is just keep the bunches of plants all grouped together nicely. Kind of like a Dutch style aquarium, but with massive bits of wood and fast flowing water and tons of community fish. It's going to be so good. Okay, that looks a right mess now, but it all comes to life when the water comes in. Now, I got these plants from Tropica. They're quite fresh in, so I'm expecting a lot of melt back, but that's okay. We'll just keep trimming the top part that gets like converted and replanting. This stuff grows super fast, so we'll get a nice big thick area in there in no time at all. Right, let's keep going. So we've got next some Ludwigia rupens, again Tropica, Ludwigia rupens Rubin, looking good. And some Ludwigia palustrius. Look at that, looks so good. Let's get those in. Okay, I just want to leave all the stem plants and everything there for the moment. I'll probably add more when we fill the tank up, but it's getting very hard to see how they're going to sit. I think we're better off doing it when there's some water in there. But one thing I can do now before I fill it up is get in all the foreground plants. And we've got some really nice Eleocharis parvura. Let me check. Yeah, Eleocharis parvula from Tropica. Yes, we can put those in. And we've also got Liliopsis brasiliensis, which is obviously Brazilian, so South American, ideal. There we go. We have got loads and loads of foreground plants there. We've got plants that just sort of spread quite quickly as well, like the sage. That spreads quickly, and it'll actually send out runners into this whole area, which I will allow some of because it will look nice and natural, but I will keep a lot of it open as well, because the research I've done shows that there's a lot of areas that have like sandbanks completely open, and then all the plants clump together in sort of zones. So that's what I want to try and keep in this one, and just keep that foreground looking like real and good and flowy and Right, so I'm going to fill it up with some water now so I can just see how the plants are sitting, and we can like move stuff around and add more, take some away, whatever. Let's just get some water in. Okay, we're filled up. Let me turn the light off, see if that makes a difference to reflections. Yes, completely. Okay, we're filled up, and it's, you know, a little bit misty, of course, because we've only just done it. But, oh, many of you are going to ask, how do you buy this? Where is it? I made this myself. It was like a filter inlet. I just added like some pipe work to it and everything. The water comes out and it hits this and goes left and right rather than straight down, and then that means you don't get much disturbance at all, so it's easy to make. But anyway, back to the scape. Look at that. I love that. I think that's really cool. It's not over the top to start with. It will be eventually, trust me. All these stem plants grow really fast, and they'll be replanted, and they'll just fill the whole areas, and even some in there, some of them don't mind the dark areas as well, you see, so we're all right with that. Yeah, again, over here, that kabumba in the back is going to fill that whole area in no time at all. It's just going to look a big fluffy cushion in that corner. Oh, I can't wait. And again, all the foreground plants you can see here, well, some of them, the Lobelis cardinalis or whatever you say, I sound like Harry Potter there, but that grows upwards. But all the other ones you can see, the small ones, the Liliopsis brasiliensis and the Eleocharis, that will all spread throughout the foreground, and the sage will as well. That will just go everywhere, so that's cool. But I don't want to go any further with the planting in the tank right now. Also, it's going to be tons of swim room, and that really creates a nice sort of channel. It looks deep, doesn't it? It looks so deep with the black background, the light fall. Oh, I love it. And those swords are great as well, aren't they? They're really sort of looping over, creating dark areas, just like you would sort of see in a river system. Okay, that's great. Next job, let's get a filter fitted. So it's the next day, guys, and we've got a nifty looking sort of haze to all the tank. So what I'm going to do is just a nice big water change, refresh it. That's basically all the tannins being released to the water. First of all, it does this sort of murky whiteness, and then it goes more and more brown. We will want a little bit of that, but not too much. It's just a good idea to do a nice big water change the day after you filled it up. So there we go, looking sweet again. Now the kabumba in the background there, I'm a little bit worried that it's not going to just sort of take off. It's a plant that requires an absolute ton of light apparently. Well, when you think about it, it's being hit all day in the South American rivers by like blazing sunshine. My hope is that it will actually grow forwards and out of that corner, which means it will be right directly underneath this light. But if it doesn't, and we need to prepare that it doesn't, I'm going to put another plant in that looks very similar to it, which is Limnophila. Now Limnophila grows like a weed. It doesn't care if it's shaded, and it's just going to cover our bets and give us the best chance of success when setting up a new ecosystem. I've already got a ton of the plant established and working really well in other tanks. So look over here, in this tank in the back corner there. Well, when I set this up, there was hardly any light there. Now it's grown up into it, and it grows super fast, and it's just really good for new setups as well. If the kabumba does take off, then I'll take it out and just keep it authentic. If it doesn't, then, you know, we've got backup and it'll look good anyway. So get that in now. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I mean, it's all still a bit misty, but that was such a good decision. How good does that look? And it's pretty much, look, the textures look exactly the same as the plants right around it as well. The kabumba there, the red kabumba, look at it, it looks great. And now we just need to sort out the other side. I want to fill in that big gap at the back there as well. And then maybe a little bit here, just loads, just get it in there. And there we have it, guys. I think this one's turned out pretty immense. Now, I went for a lot bigger plants in this setup because doing my research, I saw that all the plants in most of the Amazonian rivers, you know, it's a set of rivers, it's not just one, it's like tons, like anyway, but the plants are big, there's lots of them, so that's what I've tried to replicate in our tank. Obviously, I wanted some detail as well though, so I've still got some smaller plants in the foreground, but they're still native to the South American rivers. You know, I want to be authentic, but we don't have to be like completely exact. So a few things to note straight away. I can see that the Liliopsis brasiliensis there is already starting to sort of creep out. It's sending runners, which is great. Same again for the dwarf sag, that's doing it as well. A little bit of melt on some of them, but nothing too drastic that we can't handle. But one of the things I'm already noticing is that there's barely any flow. I mean, these plants are blocking most of it, but that is why I bought a wave maker. This tank needs to look like a river, and currently it's pretty still, isn't it? So we can do better than that. I've got the wave maker. I'm going to fit it down here. It's a controllable one and all that sort of jazz. I've never really used one before, so we'll give that a go to see how it works. Oh, there we go. Straight away, that's much better. Look, everything's sort of moving. Just a little bit. That's all you want. Look, see the limb. Oh, not my finger. The limb feeler there is just sort of gently waving. All the plants down the bottom here, they've got a little bit of movement to them as well. Just a touch. It's enough to keep stuff moving. You know, that flow going across the top of the tank like that actually picks up waste and detritus that would potentially sit on the bottom, and just keep it moving, and then eventually be taken out by the filter hidden at the back there. And look, you can barely even see it. It's very quiet as well. I'll leave a link in the description to this specific one for UK guys. It probably is a similar one in America. I'll try and look and leave links in the bottom. You can control it all down the bottom, but I've just got it set to flow and just blow. Like a river doesn't stop, does it? So we'll just keep that going like that. But if you remember, I said to you I wanted to do like all, well, like immersed plants all across the top here, but with the roots in the water. Well, that's cool because on the windowsill you can see there, I've got all those plants, and that's exactly what I want to do with them. First of all, I've got to take them out those pots and wash all the soil off of them, like all of it. We don't want any soil just going in the water because it would just cause a massive algae bloom straight away. The water doesn't want to have particles of organic matter suspended in it because that would just be food for the algae, wouldn't it? And the light, boom, we got a mess. Oh, in case you're wondering, I've put this whole thing up behind so there's no reflections, look. When we come on here, and it just looks really good. But first of all, I want to use one of these. I'm going to use this, so that we've got a Monstera one there, the same as this giant beast we've got here, but it's a smaller version that I think will look really good on the opposite side. And then we've got peace lilies, because I used them in one of my previous tanks. Let me show you. So here is my Better Fishes tank, and you can see there, look at the peace lily. It's doing so well. All it's got is a little clip-on desk lamp that's down the side, clipped on. 6,500 watt Kelvin. 500 watt? No, 6,500 Kelvin lamp bulb in it. Colour that is. What was it? I think it was about 30 watts, something like that. Anyway, yeah, so that's doing really well, and all the leaves are so healthy and everything. So that clearly works, just having the roots submerged in the water. That's all they are. They're just put on top of some rocks and sort of pinned in some wood, and it works a treat. So that's kind of what we're going to do in the Amazon tank. Yeah. So first of all, exactly the same as I've done before. Take the pot, take it out, and just wash all the soil off. So there we go, they're all washed off. Let me take them out, just put them in there temporarily. But look, you can see I've trimmed all the roots, so they're not too long, so they're all about sort of even-ish. Just be careful with them because they're actually quite delicate. I accidentally snapped off one of the leaves very easily. I mean, it might have been loose anyway, but yeah. So you're probably thinking, how are we going to go from this to, oh, be careful, be careful. How are we going to go from this to be able to put it into the top of the tank so it doesn't just fall in? Well, for that, I've come up with this solution. Well, I've not tried it yet, but hopefully it works. This is, you know, like wire. It's just like black wire, so I can bend it to the right shape. So I want to make like a sort of cup holder for it, for them to sit in. Hopefully that'll work. Right, there we go. So I don't think that's too bad for a first attempt. I mean, it doesn't look that pretty, but you're not going to see it anyway. And I wasn't sure how much wire to use to keep going. You know, the next one will probably look a little bit better, but you can see how it's going to work. It's just going to obviously sit on the inside though, hang over. There we go. I've got stuff to prop it up. Oh no, it works. Look at that. And then obviously that bit's in the water. Yeah. Oh, little gouramis come over to have a look. Female powder gourami. It's not for you though, buddy. There you go, look, it's working a treat. Right, let's get it in the Amazon tank. Oh yes, that's worked a treat, isn't it? There we go, just adding a little bit more sort of greenery around the tank. Now obviously, we've got 3 more plants we can put on as well. So one there, and then probably a couple in that area there. I was thinking about putting one on this corner, but I think that's too far out this way and will detract from this tank when we set that up next, by the way. But yeah, right, just quickly now, I'm gonna get the other ones in using the same method. Right, so in case that wasn't clear before, so the way to do this is you just take the end and you wrap it round like 3 times, bring it up straight, really straight up to about here, and loop it back on itself, and then you can just take that whole piece and fold it over, and then that's it, job done. So simple, and it seems to be working well. Right, that is looking so sweet. Let's do a nice big water change, get it super fresh, and then go get some new fish to put our first fish in the aquarium.
Wow, that is a big one.
It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah. Like
How is he going to fit down the chimney?
maybe you might need to pop down like a big, like this.
Okay, we got to go that way. Watch that puddle. Oh no, you got your wellies on. Yeah, you're fine. They go massive, don't they?
Yeah, they're massive. They have a big fat tum-tum.
They're nice though, aren't they?
Yeah, they're nice.
Very nice. Not easy to care for though.
I'd like to have a pet one of those.
The puffers?
Yeah, puffers.
Like I used to have. Angels. Black one, silver ones.
Oh!
Black mollies.
Yeah, black mollies. Can you get some of those?
Yeah, I will do at some point for a different tank. And we've got nice guppies. And the goldies up here.
These are what I like.
Do you like all this stuff? I knew you was going to pick that up.
That's Groot.
Is it Groot, is it? It's like Groot. And a hand.
That's his hand.
I quite like that.
Oh, look on Harry Potter. Like when you put his hand there.
Oh yeah, and it grabs his hand. Yeah, that's right. You love Harry Potter, don't you?
Yeah, like
Those crabs, don't you?
crabs.
Do I need to get one?
I think I'll like have my turn.
This is rainbow crab.
Rainbow crab.
It's a rainbow crab, look. You like him?
Yeah, I like him. Daddy?
Right, Jakey, we got our fish. Let's get them back to the tank, yeah? Well, you're going home first, and then I've got to go studio because it's lunchtime. Right, I recently got in trouble from you guys for not buckling up, so safety first. Okay, so we got the silver tip tetras. Now, I've wanted these for a long time. Apparently, they're a really good little schooling fish. I've got like a school of around 10, something like that. The idea is that every week I'm going to get another school of 10 different tetras or, you know, fish from South America. And I think it would just be really cool to have loads of action going on all over the tank with all the different types of fish. You know, I'm not into big predator fish, am I? So I like seeing like little communities and little bits of interest all over the tank. Hopefully you guys will as well.